Let's start our first news with a surprising take from Islam Makhachev, who believes Justin Gaethje may have already done enough in the sport and could consider walking away right now. Recently, Islam spoke with MMA Junkie and was asked about Gaethje's future after his latest run at the top. His response was pretty blunt. Islam said he doesn't know what comes next for Gaethje, but if he were a matchmaker, he would honestly struggle to find the right next step for him. And there's a reason for that. According to Islam, Gaethje has already made a lot of money in this sport. He became a UFC champion, built an incredible resume, and established himself as one of the most dangerous and respected fighters of his generation. So what is really left for him to prove? Islam even revealed that he saw Gaethje recently and joked about his physical condition, saying, "Hey, why you become fat?" It was clearly a lighthearted comment, with Islam suggesting that Gaethje is simply enjoying life after reaching the top. And honestly, Gaethje has earned that freedom. He has been through countless wars inside the octagon, taken some brutal damage, and competed against some of the best fighters in the world. After finally reaching another championship milestone, Islam believes Gaethje has every right to simply enjoy the moment. But the bigger question surrounding Gaethje is whether he still has the hunger to continue competing at the highest level. Walking away while still near the top could protect his legacy and allow him to leave the sport on his own terms. For now, though, Gaethje is still enjoying his success, and Islam's comments have certainly sparked plenty of discussion about what should come next for one of the UFC's most recognizable veterans. Move on to another news, and this one could lead to a crazy UFC debut for Usman Nurmagomedov. Usman's manager, Ali Abdulaziz, has revealed that if Usman eventually signs with the UFC, he wants his very first fight to be against Ilia. And considering everything that has happened between Ilia and Islam Makhachev, this matchup would have an immediate storyline behind it. With the ongoing PFL and Bellator merger situation, there is also a possibility that the UFC could make Usman a massive offer and use a high-profile debut fight as part of the deal. Abdulaziz clearly believes Ilia would be the perfect opponent. During a recent pound-for-pound show, he explained that there is already beef between the two sides, and he went as far as saying that he believes Usman could make Ilia quit. He even claimed that if he were representing Ilia, he would retire rather than accept the matchup. Of course, those comments were challenged during the discussion. Abdulaziz argued that Usman is particularly effective against shorter opponents, and in his opinion, Ilia fits that profile perfectly. He pointed to Usman's knees, head kicks, and overall striking as major weapons that could create problems for Ilia. He also highlighted Ilia's limited use of offensive kicking, suggesting that this could become a major weakness against someone like Usman. Another comparison was made to Justin Gaethje, particularly the way Usman can dip and move defensively. Abdulaziz admitted that Usman doesn't possess the same punching power as Gaethje, saying that almost nobody does, but he still believes the matchup could be extremely favorable for Usman. In his view, Ilia could actually be one of the easiest fights available to Usman if he makes the move to the UFC. A matchup like this would instantly create massive attention, especially with the connections between Usman, Islam, and Ilia. Move on to another news, and this time we have a major update on Justin Gaethje's future. After defeating Ilia at UFC Freedom 250, Gaethje has confirmed that he is not retiring just yet. However, according to his manager, Ali Abdulaziz, there is one very important condition for whatever comes next. Gaethje wants massive fights only. During a recent interview with MMA Junkie, Ali explained that Gaethje is expected to return in 2027 after already fighting twice this year. In his view, the lightweight champion has earned the right to take some time away from competition. Ali said that Gaethje deserves the break, especially after everything he has accomplished, and that the other fighters in the division should now be chasing him. But Gaethje isn't looking for just another fight. He wants a big fight, a really big fight. And according to Ali, the person who ultimately decides what that biggest possible fight is will be Dana White. That makes sense when you consider where Gaethje currently stands. He is 37 years old. He has already competed against many of the best fighters in the sport, and he recently added another huge victory to his resume by defeating Ilia. At this stage of his career, there is no reason for Gaethje to fight simply for the sake of staying active. Ali even admitted that if Gaethje decided to retire today, he would be completely happy with that decision because Gaethje has already done everything he needed to do. But if Gaethje wants to fight one more time, that decision is entirely his. Nobody is going to tell him what to do. He is the boss of his own career, and the only thing Ali insists on is that the next fight needs to be massive. So what could actually qualify as a big enough fight for Gaethje? One obvious possibility is a rematch with Max Holloway. The two already have history, and their previous fight became one of the most memorable battles of Gaethje's career. A second meeting would immediately carry enormous attention, especially with both fighters having established themselves as major names in the UFC. Another possibility could involve a fresh challenge against one of the rising contenders at lightweight, but that would depend entirely on the UFC's matchmaking plans. For now, the message from Gaethje's camp is clear. There is no rush. He has already reached the top, he has already accomplished more than enough, and if he returns, it will be for a fight that is truly worth it. Move on to another news, and this time, Tom Aspinall is talking about something surprisingly normal that keeps happening to him outside the octagon. Despite being one of the biggest names in the UFC heavyweight division, Tom still can't understand why fans are so shocked whenever they see him doing everyday things. According to Tom, he has become pretty used to the reactions by now. But whenever he goes somewhere in public, people still seem genuinely surprised to see him there. He explained that he regularly gets approached by fans asking, "Oh my God, what are you doing here?" And Tom's response is basically, "What do you think I'm doing?" He gave the example of going to Tesco to buy something as simple as bread. He said he's just there doing exactly what everyone else does. He isn't preparing for a fight, attending some UFC event, or doing anything unusual. He's simply going to the store and buying groceries. And apparently, this happens to him everywhere. Tom said he recently experienced the same thing while he was out walking his dog with his kids. Once again, fans were surprised to see him and asked what he was doing there. His answer was simple. He was walking his dog with his children, just like anyone else. That seems to be the strange reality of becoming a major UFC star. For Tom, going to the supermarket or taking his kids and dog for a walk is completely normal. But for fans, seeing a heavyweight champion-level fighter casually doing those things can feel almost surreal. Tom clearly understands why people recognize him, but he still finds it funny that some fans seem to expect him to be doing something extraordinary every time they see him. At the end of the day, even one of the most dangerous heavyweights in the world still has to buy bread, walk the dog, spend time with his children, and handle all the ordinary parts of everyday life. The difference is that when Tom Aspinall does those things, there's always a chance someone recognizes him and wonders why a UFC superstar is standing in the same place as them. For Tom, though, the answer is incredibly simple. He's just living his life like everyone else. Move on to another news, and this one could completely reshape the lightweight title picture. Arman is officially set to face Mauricio Ruffi at UFC 331 in Los Angeles, but the biggest part of this announcement is what could happen after the fight. According to Ariel Helwani, Dana White and the UFC have told Arman that if he beats Ruffi, he will receive an undisputed title shot. That makes this matchup far more important than a regular contender fight. Ruffi is a dangerous and rapidly rising prospect, and he has made it clear that he isn't interested in winning by decision. He wants to knock Arman out, steal the spotlight, and put himself directly into championship contention. For Arman, however, the stakes are enormous. A victory would seemingly guarantee his place as the next challenger for the lightweight title. This also creates a major problem for Ilia. A direct rematch for the former champion now appears to be off the table, meaning Ilia would likely have to fight his way back toward the top instead of immediately getting another opportunity to reclaim the belt. There had been speculation about Arman facing Justin Gaethje, but that fight is not happening because Gaethje is taking time away after his recent championship bout. Another possibility that was discussed was Arman facing Charles Oliveira for a BMF-style matchup, but that idea is also off the table. Instead, the UFC has gone with a fight nobody expected, Arman versus Ruffy. Helwani also suggested that an Arman versus Paddy Pimblett #1 contender fight would have been extremely interesting, but the UFC has chosen a different path. Now, everything comes down to UFC 331. If Arman wins, he is expected to become the #1 contender and earn his shot at the undisputed championship. But if Ruffy pulls off the upset, his rise could accelerate overnight. Either way, this fight has suddenly become one of the most important matchups in the lightweight division. Move on to another news, and this one involves Dana White firing back after UFC 331 faced backlash from fans before the event was even fully announced. Before the UFC revealed the main and co-main events, many fans criticized the promotion for already selling tickets despite not having the top fights confirmed. One critic called it one of the scummiest things he had ever seen, pointing out that UFC 331 was still weeks away, while the main event, co-main event, and even parts of the main card remained unknown. Then Dana White decided to respond. Dana commented on the video with a GIF of The Rock, essentially telling the critic to shut up. That immediately made the situation even more entertaining. The critic couldn't believe that Dana White had actually seen the video, let alone responded directly to it. He explained that he had criticized the UFC for selling tickets before the card was properly built, only for the promotion to announce the fights shortly afterward. And suddenly, he felt like he had been made to look like a jackass. He also pointed out that this wasn't the first time the UFC had sold tickets before having the entire card finalized. According to him, the promotion has done this multiple times, including earlier this year. Tickets can go on sale, fans can buy them, flights can get booked, and people can make travel plans, all while major fights for the event are still unconfirmed. So from his perspective, the criticism was completely justified. The problem was simply the timing, because on this particular day, the UFC announced the fights almost immediately after the backlash started. That left him looking like the person who had complained just before the promotion proved him wrong. But instead of being genuinely angry, he seemed to take the whole situation in stride. He even joked that Dana commenting on his video was actually pretty cool, despite the fact that Dana was essentially telling him to stop complaining. And the attention didn't stop there. He revealed that Shafar Rahman also posted him on Instagram, reposted the content, and even commented on his post. So what started as criticism of the UFC suddenly turned into a bizarre day of attention from people connected to the promotion. In the end, he admitted that, on this occasion, Dana had the perfect timing. He may have looked like a fool for one day, but he still stood by his larger point that the UFC has sold tickets before without having every major fight finalized. And despite all the chaos, he was clearly enjoying every second of it. Move on to another news, and this one could reveal Islam Makhachev's potential next opponent if he gets past Ian Garry. According to Islam's manager, Ali Abdulaziz, Carlos Prates is currently the favorite to face Islam next. Of course, that matchup would only become realistic if Islam successfully gets through Ian first, but his manager already appears to have a clear idea of what could come afterward. Abdulaziz believes Carlos has been doing a tremendous amount of work to establish himself as a legitimate contender. He pointed out that Carlos recently defeated Leon Edwards, a former UFC champion, and has already built an impressive resume against elite competition. He also compared Carlos's accomplishments to those of other contenders in the division. Abdulaziz mentioned Sean Brady, acknowledging that he likes Brady and considers him a very good fighter and a great person. However, he argued that Brady's resume simply does not compare to Carlos at this stage. According to him, Brady has never even competed inside the top 5, while Carlos has already faced much more established opposition. That difference, in his opinion, is significant. Abdulaziz also believes Carlos has another major advantage: star power. He argued that Carlos is a much bigger attraction right now and has the potential to become an even bigger name with the right matchup. That could make him an especially interesting option for Islam if the UFC decides to move quickly toward another major welterweight showdown. But first, everything depends on Islam's upcoming fight with Ian. If Islam wins, Carlos could potentially be waiting on the other side. And considering Carlos' recent performances, his growing reputation, and the attention surrounding his name, this could become a very big fight for the division. For now, though, Islam has business to handle first, while Carlos continues building momentum and positioning himself as one of the most dangerous contenders available.